Tonight on KGW News, clearing the shelves in solidarity. Oregon orders stores to stop selling Russian vodka. Plus, we're down to just 2 more weeks of mask mandate.
We are turning a page in our fight against the COVID virus.
Why Oregon and Washington are speeding up their timeline to lift the rules. And later, think you're a pro recycler? We get the top tricks from the local waste-busting champion.
I mean, I would say, come at me, but I'm gonna win.
Your news starts now. Good evening. First here at 11, the Russian invasion continues in Ukraine. Here is the latest tonight. A 40-mile convoy of Russian tanks and other vehicles is threatening Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. That as intense shelling is targeting its second largest city. Meanwhile, peace talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials are ongoing in Belarus. This comes as the U.S. and allies are ramping up sanctions to stop Russian President Vladimir Putin. But lawmakers on Capitol Hill are calling on President Biden to do more. Alice Barr reports from Washington, D.C.
Amid soaring global tensions over the war in Ukraine, with Russian President Vladimir Putin putting his country's nuclear deterrent forces on high alert, the Biden administration is seeking to lower the temperature.
Mr. President, should Americans be worried about nuclear war?
No.
We are assessing President Putin's directive, and at this time we see no reason to change our own alert levels.
The fighting intensifying today, with Ukrainian forces holding firm as Russia takes aim at major cities.
They have faced a stiffer resistance than they anticipated.
Ukrainian and Russian officials started talks today with no breakthrough in sight. The U.S. and allies sending more weapons to support Ukraine and rolling out tougher sanctions against Russia's central bank, the latest in a global economic assault that sent the Russian currency plummeting to record lows. After a classified briefing tonight on Capitol Hill, lawmakers calling for even harsher measures.
Putin's not going to stop until it gets to be unbearable at home.
President Biden will defend his strategy in his first State of the Union address tomorrow night, a chance for the commander-in-chief to explain what's at stake directly to the American people. The need to stand up for a fledgling democracy in Ukraine, to further the cause of freedom around the world, and ensure American safety here at home. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And today, Oregon joined a list of states that have stopped selling Russian-manufactured spirits. This move in direct protest of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Alma McCarty looked into the measure and joins us in the newsroom.
Well, Laurel, the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission directed liquor stores to pull their bottles of Russian-made vodka. The OLCC also provided a list of what those brands are. Turns out there are not as many as you might think.
It's been pretty busy this month. We've been having a really good month for February.
At the Westmoreland Liquor Store in Southeast Portland, when it comes to vodka, customers have options.
This is our wall of vodka.
If you take a close look, you might notice a few bottles are missing. No longer offered here or anywhere else in Oregon.
We got the email from OLCC saying to pull any of the vodkas that were made in Russia from the shelf. They sent us a list of which ones they are.
Despite only carrying a couple of brands, owner Kim Fox says it was something they were already considering. 2
brands, Russian Standard and Beluga Noble. There are some lower end ones that the state carries that are usually just the half gallons and the cheaper on the cheaper end, and we don't carry those. But I think a lot of the other stores do.
The OLCC reports there were about 5,000 bottles of Russian-made liquor for sale in Oregon. The agency says there are more than 6,000 bottles remaining at its warehouse, which will not be distributed. Fox explains, although vodka is often associated with Russia and some brands used to be made there, that's simply not the case anymore for some of the most popular names.
I think Portland people are united with Ukraine. It's just a good thing to know which vodkas are Russian and which ones aren't, because their name sounds Russian, like Stoli and Smirnoff, which used to be made in Russia. They are no longer, so it makes no sense to dump those out because they're not doing anything to help the cause.
The OLCC stated removing the products aligns with the actions of other states that have banned the sale of Russian-made products as part of economic sanctions. Fox says no matter the size or scope of this ban, it sends an important message.
We have a large Ukrainian population, and whatever little bit you can do, it seems to make a point, and so it just seemed like the right thing to do.
As for those brands that Fox mentioned just there, Stoli is produced in Latvia. Smirnoff products are made in countries around the world, but not in Russia. It's more than likely a bottle that you buy here was made in Illinois.
Good information to know. Very interesting. Thank you, Alma. Did you get a chance to see the Morrison Bridge tonight? It was all lit up in blue and yellow, the colors of the Ukrainian flag, to show support for Ukrainians in the community and abroad. Multnomah County officials say the bridge will be lit up like this until Sunday. And in Fairview over the weekend, a special prayer vigil brought people together to show support for Ukraine at the Ukrainian Bible Church. The church is taking donations to help people in Ukraine. It's easy to do. You can donate online and by text. We have all that information linked. Just look for this story on KGW.com. We'll keep following the new developments in Ukraine, and we'll have much more information tomorrow on KGW at sunrise. You can also find updates always online at KGW.com. In a developing story, investigators are trying to piece together what led up to multiple armed carjackings in Clackamas County tonight. Catherine Cook spoke to police in Milwaukee after they arrested the suspect.
Investigators say this Milwaukee self-storage parking lot is one of several scenes in a string of carjackings involving multiple victims.
This spot is just off Southeast Harmony Road and International Way. A witness tells us he saw a man running across the parking lot as a woman sat on the ground crying. Milwaukee police arrested the suspect in another parking lot in the same business park. This all started in Clackamas County Monday evening. Sheriff's deputies and Milwaukee police responded to reports of multiple carjackings, which they believe are all connected. At this time, police are not releasing conditions of any of the victims or how many there are. Police tell us they're thankful the suspect is in custody, as calls like this can be complicated and dangerous.
It's pretty chaotic and extremely stressful for everybody involved, the victim, responding officers. Typically information that is coming across is either old information or developing as you arrive. So it's a pretty stressful situation for everybody.
Right now, we don't know the name of the suspect in this case. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Office tells us they expect to release much more information on Tuesday. In Milwaukee, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
A major step forward tonight in the pandemic. Oregon and Washington announced at the end of next week, mask requirements will be lifted in indoor public spaces, including K-12 schools. Both states had already announced they'd lift the mask mandate sometime later in March. State of Oregon epidemiologist Dr. Dean Seidlinger said the change comes as the states see declining COVID case rates and hospitalizations.
Some communities may still be in that red level. So we would encourage those local leaders to look at where they are as a community and to make decisions about potentially continuing masks or other things that can help reduce transmission in those communities.
It is worth noting today's announcement does not apply to places like healthcare facilities, public transit, and jails and prisons. Masks are still required there and will be for some time. And here's a look at the latest COVID case count for Oregon. The dotted line shows the daily average of new cases, and you can see it's been dropping sharply in the last month. A similar trend can be seen in the state's hospitalization count. The number of hospitalized patients with COVID right now is at 479, with 84 of those patients in the ICU. Now let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. 2 people have died following another weekend of gun violence in Portland. The latest shooting happened early Sunday morning. A man died at the hospital after he was shot on Northeast 103rd Avenue. Police say the suspect remained at the scene. No word if any charges have been filed. And on Saturday, another man was shot and killed in a parking garage in the Lloyd district. For that one, no arrests have been made. So far this year, there have been 19 homicides in Portland. We now know the name of the man accused of stealing a car with a child inside. Justin Hill was arrested Friday after he stole a car on Northeast 16th and Shaver. A 3-year-old was still inside when he took off. Several bystanders worked together to catch Hill before he was arrested. The child was not hurt during the whole ordeal. Hill now faces several charges, including kidnapping and possession of a stolen car. 99E is now back open after a rock slide shut it down near Oregon City earlier today. Look at that big boulder. It fell south of the city near Tumwater Drive, and that rock knocked a big hole, as you can see here, in a semi-truck that happened to be driving through at the time. There are no reports of injuries, and the highway is now clear. The Oregon Department of Geology is warning all of us to be on the lookout right now for landslides in other steep areas after all the rain we've had.